So, a few years ago, I actually tried smoking DMT and it changed my life. I'd smoked it and felt its effects for about 10 minutes, and in that time, I not only left the room I was in, but I'm pretty sure that I left my consciousness, my spirit, my soul, whatever it was, I left my body. After the experience, I was intrigued to learn more about this substance and its origins. So, what is DMT? It's basically a natural common molecule which can be found all throughout the plant and animal kingdom, including the inside of your pineal gland, which is located in your brain, and it acts as a hallucinogen. A person will feel its effects naturally when a human gives birth, when a person's born, has a near-death experience, or even when they're asleep. Your body can handle certain levels of it with no problem, but once the amount surpasses your tolerance level, people report what could only be considered almost a religious-like experience. For centuries, it has been procured and consumed by different cultures for ritualistic purposes. In South America, they ingest it by drinking ayahuasca as a rite of passage to become an adult. Here in America, it's highly illegal. It is almost one of the most illegal substances that you could have in your possession. But in places like Oregon, it can be taken once a year in a controlled community setting. To dive deeper into this subject, I'd like to bring up Dr. Rick Strassman. In 1995, he administered over 400 doses to over 60 people in a controlled setting in a small hospital located in New Mexico. The study lasted 4 years and was specifically to monitor and observe the effects DMT had on the volunteers. The results were amazing. Not only did people report hallucinations, but they spoke of problems in their lives immediately ending after the drug wore off. Thoughts of depression, suicide, loss of life, insecurities about weight, how they looked, and other daily drama simply went away in a euphoric rush. Many claimed not only to leave their bodies, but said they actually witnessed entities on the other side. That's right. These people left their normal dimension and realities and were introduced to inhabitants of neighboring worlds. Now, you would think that this is just like an acid trip. Of course, they'd be seeing all kinds of crazy stuff. But according to Dr. Rick Strassman, these people only saw a small handful of different species. These included what he classed as 1. Angels, like light guides and helpers. 2. Aliens, like reptilians, greys, wizards, or elementals. 3 would be lesser beings, like demons, shadow people, or negative energies. 4 would be greater beings or gods. 5 would be insect people, or more importantly, ant-like mantises. 6 would be elves, leprechauns, or fairies. 7 would be tall, beautiful, human-like blonde Nordics. And finally, 8 would be clowns. Yeah, clowns. And trapeze artists and mannequin people who flipped and danced and told jokes and sang. Some claimed entire worlds of carousels, complete with Circus Soleil type performances for the volunteer to witness. So he was able to categorize around 8 different classes of creatures people saw during their 10-minute trip. He claims the odds of this are impossible. He labeled them in such categories because of the similarities in each individual experience when compared to the others. He also noted that before the initial blast-off, in which they would leave their bodies, the trip would sometimes make people speak to religious figures from a religion that specific person was not familiar with, like Jesus, Saint Peter, Buddha, Shiva, and even cartoon characters like Scooby-Doo, to determine whether they were allowed in on the ride to experience the full hallucination. So what's happening here? Well, some think like a television, this reality is set to a certain station, but our brains have access to the other channels or frequencies if we tune in. Our pineal gland in our brains may be a tuning fork that keeps us tuned into this station, but the DMT levels that you can actually experience things happening in the same space is just in a slightly different dimension. This would make sense when talking about meditation and leaving your body and traveling to the astral plane, which I'll probably end up making a different video on altogether, because I've basically been there. This would also make sense of schizophrenics or mentally ill people. Strassman believes that crazy people may not be crazy, that they may have an overactive pineal gland that actually allows them to slightly hear voices or have visions from things that are happening next door in a different dimension. It may be treatable in the future with medications that can stabilize their natural doses. In regards to the New Mexico trials, these entities not only talked to the volunteers, but showed them things like how their worlds worked, how to fix things, and overall showed a genuine curiousness of the individual themselves. Most experiences were amazing and felt playful, but some did report horror stories, such as clowns, evil clowns, alien abductions, and even one volunteer's account of being raped by small alligators. Dr. Strassman eventually quit the research out of fear of what he was learning, but that's not the scariest part of my story. Supposedly, DMT is a crowd favorite at the Illuminati parties. Recreational use has been rampant with them for centuries, and some speculate that the Illuminati not only used this DMT at occult-like ceremonies to make contact with evil entities who give them marching orders, but they use DMT to advance their channeling and communications with demons, which has aided them in keeping control of society. There's a reason why it's so illegal. They don't want you to do it. They need to keep you stuck in a five-sense reality. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and do DMT. What I'm saying is there's a whole world being kept from you. You don't need DMT to reach these places or to meet these new neighbors. Simply by prayer or meditation, people have reported the same exact types of experiences. I'm saying the Illuminati are pathetic and cannot get there on their own without assistance. The power is already inside of you. By being positive and being a good person, you can reach the same level of enlightenment and change the world for the better. But the next time a friend tells you that they've left their body, or they've been abducted by aliens, or had a dream about shadow people in their room, for the sake of arguing, don't roll your eyes at me.